Good morning. Come on in. And I hope you got your favorite beverage ready and we can, have a nice visit and look at the orchids. I've been watering. I started watering the orchids at 8 o'clock this morning, maybe just after. Right now it's 20 to 10. So I did it pretty quickly. And I have around 30 orchids plus. Mom and I went shopping yesterday, and for some reason we always go downtown, but we both didn't feel like going there. Something was saying, go uptown, go uptown. We have one grocery store uptown. So we go there, and I'm getting the buggy, and Mom's, going to be 96 this year, so she goes in the store, and I'm getting the buggy, and I come in, and here she is looking at these orchids. Oh no! And Mother's Day is coming. We all know that, and I'm a mother, and she's a mother, and we're all mothers of something. We're just full of love for different things in this beautiful world. So anyway, so there's one more to the list, and I'll get to that in a minute. So how did I water so quickly? Well, I used the sink, and I used 3 bowls. The smaller ones will soak in the bowls while I have the larger ones in the sink. Now, right now, they're all getting the same fertilizer, and this is a good, this is one I've had since I first got my orchids. And it's the one I told you last time. It's Plant Prod. It's 15, 15, 18, so it's all over care. So even though now some of the orchids are going into their 5th month of being in bloom, I don't know, can you see in the background? Let me run back there for a minute. Oh, the ones in the traffic cones, they're so healthy, and they're both doing really well. So this one is still in its bloom. Yes. And the white one. They love these traffic cones. Boy, I'm telling you. So, and this is the one that was in the flood last watering day, and it loved it. And sometimes the growers, when they're all in bulk, they'll just turn their sprinklers on for 10 or 15 minutes and let them go. And I'm telling you, they loved it. So if you do my bigger ones while I'm watering the smaller pots, they're in the shower. And I don't leave it running anymore. So they get a really good wash, leaves all over. And I do that first, then I go in with my watering can. Don't know where I put that. Oh, it's over there. Anyway, which I have a teeny bit of this fertilizer in my water, just a pinch. And after I've given them a rinse, I fertilize with my watering can. And then I rinse again. That's it. Done. Those are the ones in the shower. So in the sink, which holds 4 to 5 gallons, this is a 1/4 teaspoon, and I use less than a 1/4 teaspoon, maybe half. So I'm not a heavy fertilizer, but I fertilize fairly often. So I'm on the schedule we talked about some videos ago. So I fertilize with the fertilizer of choice for the period of year, 1st week and 2nd week. And when you're watering, be aggressive with it. Let lots of water run into those pots. Let them have a good soak for 10 to 15 minutes. Don't do it kind of gone. It does not work. And be very careful when you're watering bark that you're not taking your watering can and just going around, because bark will not wick from one piece of bark to another. The water will go straight down. So you want to make sure the whole pot is getting a good wetting on watering day. Now, sometimes in the summer, if I have to do a second watering day, I don't take them out. If it's real hot, I usually water outside, and I just give them a thorough soaking with the hose. But if they need one halfway, I do take my watering can, go around, and I've got them sitting on, usually in the summer it's so hot, I have a bowl of water underneath. I have a little stand, can be an upside down, anything with me, plant on top so the water runs through and out, but it's still got the water around it for humidity. So then third week, no fertilizer. I use 1 tablespoon to 4 or 5 gallons of water of Epsom salts. I rinse them, put them in there, soak them as if it was fertilizer, and that's it. I rinse them again. That's it. Fourth, now our month is up, it's strictly water, nothing else. So that's my newest schedule. That's what I've been doing. Seems to be working, and so that's good. Now, a few other things I'll say as we go along. Let's show you this orchid. Now, oh yes. Now we were garage sailing and 25 cents for this beautiful orchid pot. Now I love these orchid pots, and the only thing I really don't love about them is the saucers are always attached, and when your watering day, you have to tip the whole thing to get it to run out of the saucer. So we used to knock these off. Sometimes they broke, sometimes they didn't. But now, there was a hole in the bottom one. We Jack drilled right through with the same drill, the same diamond bit we've been using for years. And he also did 3 extra holes that just go into the saucer. So now I can still set this in another dish, raised on something, and it can drain. And I don't have to water. See, it's not only that some roots might be absorbing too much water that hang down that way. It's that it gets dirty in there, and it can start to smell. And you're going to attract gnats maybe or something like that. So anyway, that is a good thing. So we'll put that there. Now, this is the trouble we got into. And as soon as I got home, I wanted to take it out of this pot. And this was Tuesday. We always shop Tuesdays and Fridays. And it was so, I asked the lady, that was the one thing. I love the flower, but I said, when did they come in? She said, yesterday. Yay. So anyway, it was in this pot, no side holes, just the bottom. I tried to get it out. There is no way it was coming out, so I knew, well, I'd probably have to soak it. But I wanted to drop pot it. So, in other words, I wanted to get it out of this and just have it sitting loose in the pot. So it took Jack to get it out. That's how packed the moss was. There was no air circulation in that moss. So yes, it's alive, but stress actually helps them form into flowers. Stress can do that. And that's why, anyway, today we are going to pot it. And I have been soaking it. Oh, you can see why. Now, you can see why. These flowers are really huge. Let's see if I can get in there. So there's 13 blooms. 13's a lucky number for me because my birthday is June 13th. So I'm a 13er. And I live on 13th Street. That goes good. So anyway, we loved the flowers. But as we repot this and get the moss out of it, I'll show you what else we love because it's quite heavy now. So the first thing you want to do is get it out of the pot it's in. Soak your bark 24 hours so that it's all ready to go the next day. as soon as possible. So, you know, we took it out of that pot. Now this is just a pot of wet moss now. And what we noticed was there was like it had been in one pot and they took another layer of moss and just wrapped and went. And this is packed. It was packed around the outside. Whoops, I've probably really done it now. Well, anyway, it was, you can see, it's not great. But it did have an aerial root, which is good, and one they'd cut off, which is not so good. But anyway, and there was something else I liked, a nice new root. If you can get something like that, that it's above the surface, it's going to help keep your plant going while it's going through the shock of changing from moss to bark. And bark works great for me, and I water also with tap water. We have treated water. We have chlorine in our water, but a lot of growers now say some people can get away with this, and we can apparently. But what I did do is, I found these at a thrift store naturally, but you can get, this was $2 at a thrift store, pH indicator. It's running right into around 7, my water. So that's a good thing. But if you were watering with tap water and you started to see salts building up on the pot or on the leaves of the plant, then I think you'd probably have to find another source. But check your tap water. It might save you a lot of work and extra time. You might be able to use it. So let's get this moss off and see what we got. It's always interesting. There. Holy smokes. You know, it was just yesterday, but they just can't stay like this. Moss is fine. It has to be fluffy and airy. They're air plants and they need air. And this is definitely, I'm going to put this on the floor here. Yeah. Okay, a little bit over. There we go. That's better. Okay, so it's packed in there. And we're going to take all this out. Very carefully. I don't want to, I did soak it. It will help me from breaking any roots. There's some sad ones. Look at this. These come off. And I used to, when I first started with orchids, I used to trim them. I don't anymore. Any that is just the center of the root, they help stabilize the plant when the bark's in there if you lose a lot of roots. But look in here. So may have just come yesterday, but these were sold to make money. They'll do what they can to get them here. So and look at this. This is why I always say blooms are no blooms. Make sure you do it as soon as possible. I have been repotting mine in bloom for years now, and it's been seldom I've lost a flower. Maybe one or two. Look at this. If you just leave this in that moss, you will have nothing but rot. And that rot, what's it going to do? It's going to encourage gnats. You don't want them either. So you want to get rid of it. And as did in the other video, 6 months, maybe no longer, down the road, when the blossoms are gone, maybe 4, take it out of the bark. Pick anything out that you have lost over time, and clean it up and put it back. You can use the same bark. That bark is still good. I found my bark, I'm going to do a video on it, but my bark is lasting. even now that I used to have the large bark, which I preferred, but I can't find. But I found the medium bark, which holds humidity a little more and moisture, because it's smaller pieces close together. So I found, you know, I will get 2 to 3 years out of that bark, maybe more. So, because it's not sitting wet all the time. So that's another thing. So yes, I use Rexius fir bark. That's all I'm using. I used to throw other things in. Found it really didn't make a difference. I'm giving them fertilizer, so they're getting nutrition, and they're an air plant. Look at this. I mean, really, it's pretty sad. I'm so glad that there is a new root. Don't cough, Karen. I think I've seen signs of something else might be coming. So, but they had been chopping them off. So there's this one and this one. That is enough. And we got a healthy one over here on the one they cut off. That's enough to keep this plant going. You know, if you're saving a plant, it has no roots, and you see one little root, excuse me, that's enough to keep it going. So make sure you get all that moss out. I have gone back sometimes and I haven't gotten it all. And sometimes you may have to take a pair of tweezers or in there and get it. But I think a little running water will help. Not good. Not good at all. That one will have to be trimmed. Do my scissors. Okay. I put these under the, or over the flame on the gas stove in case I needed them. But we're just going to take that one off because I can't pull it off. I'm just taking off anything that is mushy. And this is, you should really, I don't want to take this, the wire that's holding the blossoms. So some water pressure will help clean some of this out of here. But you always, it's like I said before, these ones in the center that have been there the longest, they're the ones that seem to go first because some of them are near the outside of the pot. They've managed to get some air, but or they're near the surface. They can manage to survive. So let me just run this under the water. We've had beautiful sunny weather and probably a whole week. And we got lots of shoveling of gravel to do, and we got the greenhouse uncovered. It's been busy, busy, busy. So, I don't want to miss anything while I'm busy gabbing. But I think there's an icky piece. See right there. Let's have a double check. What do you think? Can you see anything there? So when you're doing your orchid, don't be afraid. Dig right in there. But when I went through, I think they only had about 6 of these orchids. And I went through them all looking for signs of life above the surface. So, there we go. Okay, well I'll be taking it apart again when the seeds are gone. Yeah, there's all kinds. What are those? Little roots coming? I don't know. Anyway, I'm not really sure. They're a different color. There is something coming here too. So yeah, we got some interesting things to look for. I think we're going to get it in the pot. So yuck with this yucky moss. You know, I wasn't supposed to get any more orchids. I don't know. How can you resist? So here we go. Now this pot is about the same size as the one that it was in. I probably moved this, so hopefully we're okay. So we're going to put some bark in the bottom. There. Now this pot has quite big holes. Yes, the bark at first might fall through, but what do they get? Lots of air. They get air movement. They get light for photosynthesis. So even, you know, you don't have to be in a clear pot. A lot of light gets in through holes in your pot. So I always put the bark in and I kind of tap at it with my fingers. And sometimes later, like if I have a small plant, I might have potted too deep because I like mine potted a little high so there's no chance of water sitting around the base. So I'll take hold of my plant and I'll kind of shake it, move it up, and I will bring it up a little higher, put in a little more bark. I've done this many times after one has been repotted. So there, the ones that were out, the ones up top that were out are still out. So it's good. After you finish watering, I'll just show you this because I can tidy this up after, but it is beautiful. After you finish watering, I get one of these little pads. Sometimes I use a paper towel, but really at the Dollar Tree you get these for $1.25. And a paper towel is good for folding and getting inside. Don't leave that inside piece dry. If I know it's a warm day and it's going to evaporate quick, I don't worry. So that's good for poking in there. And also, if you have some spare plastic straws, they're good for blowing air to get the water out of there. And I have been known to slit them, put them around a damaged stem, and had great success. The plant kept growing, the flowers kept coming. So they are handy to have around. But I dip this in my water I'm using for soaking my orchids. It's got a bit of fertilizer. And I make sure I go top and bottom, and especially around the edges, in case you find scale. Because if you notice scale, you want to get rid of it as soon as you can. So I always wipe each one after watering day, top and bottom, and I look for any signs of scale. Now if I find some, I will take my rubbing alcohol, this one, wet my cloth, I rinse my orchid first, it's already had a bath, and then I use the alcohol and I will wipe anywhere where I think there's something harboring. Let it sit for a minute and then I rinse it off. This is good for scale. Now, the hydrogen peroxide, that is good for fungus or fungus gnats. Spray the surface of your plant. This will not hurt your plant. And I use this a lot. It's great for cleaning your kitchen counters, your stainless steel. It's handy, handy, handy. So that is the other thing. So I think I'll probably touch that up. But there we go. I would love to have road coat put on it, but I think this red pot is beautiful. And we'll see how it does. So somebody was wondering how the slipper orchid was doing. Somebody was wondering, I saw this arm come in and we have a water jug near the door. And he pours himself, he's been out shoveling gravel, he pours himself a big mug of water. So this has been going on since before December. It's trying to do something, whether it ever will. The plant is basically pretty healthy. But anyway, I'm still playing with it. But they're doing good. They're happy. That's that one. I have two because I wanted to see how they do. They both look healthy. And Another new leaf coming on this one. So that was the update on the slipper orchids. The ones still in bloom, I was playing around. Now can you see the fountain in the back, and I stuck a fish on it. I had that big moon thing for years out in the gazebo. And I thought, oh, I'm going to put my Mr. Fogger on it and play around, because I like playing around, so I did that. So any questions? Ask me in the comments. I'm happy to answer you. Thank you for visiting me and giving me time off from gravel shoveling. And there should be a really good tour video coming up soon. So thanks again. See you next time.